Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also Mark Zicree of Space Command, and also many other shows. That's Star Trek Next Gen, DS9, Babylon 5, Sliders, Smurfs, He-Man, on and on. Many, 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 many. Check my credits and you'll be blown away, blown away. So, as many of you know, we've been shooting Space Command at our Space Command studios, and I wanted to talk about how we raise funds, how you can do the same for your projects, and also, obviously, if anyone wants to invest in Space Command, some of you may be wondering how one does that, because the cool part is that with the projects I'm now doing, once they sell to major studios, major networks, our investors get a percentage of my producer's net profits, which could, in the end, be very lucrative if one of these projects strikes gold. And of course, many of you know that science fiction has that way of doing things, whether it's Star Trek or Babylon 5 or The Expanse or any of these numerous science fiction shows that we love, Doctor Who, that just keep going and going and going and going and generating money from the show itself and also from all of the ancillary merchandise. And many of you, if you just look around your apartments and houses and various other places where you are confined, I'm sure you'll see many of the same little doodads that I have throughout my abode. So, but let's get into how we fund things. And first of all, the way to reach me, if you're interested in buying shares in Space Command or the new project, the Showrunners Network, you just reach me at markzicree@gmail.com. In terms of Mr. Sci-Fi, there's plenty of videos about the projects we're doing where I'm posting rough cuts. I'm posting all sorts of stuff. It's really exciting. And if you want to learn how to do what I do, I recently wrote a book called Greenlighting Yourself. That's on Amazon. You can read it. I use not only examples of how I've succeeded over a 50-year writing career, working for all the major studios and networks, and now having my own studio, but also firsthand narrative stories, anecdotes on the careers of Ray Bradbury, Guillermo del Toro, J.J. Abrams, on and on, Rod Serling, of course, many of whom I've heard these stories from directly, and Ron Moore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely check all that stuff out. So let's get into the nitty gritty. A few years back, I decided I wanted to do a show that was a hopeful vision of the future that would inspire, like Star Trek inspired me. I didn't want to risk a studio or network buying the pilot and either not greenlighting it to series or cutting me off at script or cutting me off at pilot or giving me notes that wrecked it. So I had never raised money before. This is after many decades of writing for all the major studios and networks. I've been a professional writer since 1975. So this is the 50th year I've been a professional writer, and I've been writing for television, I think, since 1977 or so. And also I wrote the Twilight Zone companion right out of college around that time as well. So, many adventures. But again, I was very lucky. The censors, the networks and studios did not stop me from creating a significant body of work of which I'm very proud. And you can again check that out. But with this one, I wanted to just have total control, and I'd always wanted to have my own studio. And so this was the way I found I could do it. I had been learning about crowdfunding from a number of the members of my roundtable that I run and that I've run for 30 years. And also back in 2006, 2007, I shot an episode of the fan film series Star Trek New Voyages that I co-wrote with Michael Reeves, directed, executive produced, with George Takei starring along with Christina Moses, Grace Lee Whitney, many others, and that was nominated for the Hugo and the Nebula, and it was a great experience, and it showed me that you could do things on the internet that would get an audience similar or larger than what the networks were getting, and still create a quality product that would be really entertaining and ennobling for the audience, just like Star Trek had raised me up into the fine specimen that I am today. So the missing piece, but the problem with doing Star Trek fan films or Star Wars fan films or any of it is you don't own the IP, so you can't market it, you can't sell it. And so that was a limitation. So I realized that if I created an original series, I could move forward and no one could stop me. Paramount couldn't send me a cease and desist like they did with the Star Trek fan films. I would be golden. So I did a Kickstarter campaign. Our target was $75,000. We ultimately hit $221,000 on that campaign. That was enough to open the studio and start building sets. And over the course of several years, we had multiple Kickstarter campaigns, all of which succeeded in their targets, and we were off and running. And so beyond that, a friend of mine made movies, and she sold investment shares in her movies for $7,500 each, and she was enjoying great success doing that. So I looked at her paperwork, utilized it, spoke with lawyers, and was able to offer shares in Space Command for $7,500 each. And many of our investors have bought many more shares than that, but I wanted it to be a low enough number so that it wouldn't just be wealthy people. And so our investors are truck drivers, they're computer nerds, they're all across the board, martial arts teachers, and one billionaire, I think. But but they've all invested. They've all been very happy to be part of something inspiring, something that in the long run could earn them back money, profits, and also we treat everyone as a family. They're welcome to come on set. They're welcome to even play roles in the show if they'd like. We take them to meals periodically. We get them into Comic-Con. It's a lot of great adventures that we do for our people, and it's great fun to have them part of this. So over the course of these several years, between crowdfunding and Kickstarter, I've raised over $4 million, and that's enough. That's been enough for us to shoot. We finished the first 6 hours of Space Command in terms of shooting. We're in post on hours 5 and 6, and we are now actively shooting hours 7 and 8 of Space Command's 12-hour season. So I'm continuing to sell shares. I'm continuing to raise money, but meantime, my method in my whole career has been to choose an impossible project and then succeed at that, like the Twilight Zone companion when I was in my early 20s, and then pick something even more impossible and pull that off. So we're doing Space Command, and it's been great, and it's at my own studio, 3 sound stages, and you can see a tour of it on Mr. Sci-Fi that we did during our New Year's Day party, and but now I'm doing something called the Showrunners Network as well. And the Showrunners Network consists of 1 feature and 5 pilots. And now we're creating an ensemble of actors, many of whom you've known and loved. So we've got Bob Picardo. These are some of the actors from Star Trek that we're currently working with. So it's Bob Picardo, Armin Shimmerman. We shot a great scene with Nichelle Nichols before her passing. Christina Moses, who was in the Star Trek episode. She played Sulu's daughter. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting Ethan Phillips, Gates McFadden is in a coming project, on and on. And the Babylon 5 actors, Mira Furlan, Bill Mummy, Bruce Boxleitner. We've got Ferran Tahir from JJ's Star Trek movie and Iron Man. It just keeps going, just more and more people. We're going to have actors from Lost in Space. We're going to have actors from all of the great science fiction franchises. So watch this space. But meantime, here's how we raise money. So I do crowdfunding campaigns. You can find all about that in Greenlighting Yourself. We need someone to run our campaigns now who's very reliable. So if you have those skills, contact me at markzicree@gmail.com. But also we're selling shares. Now here's the Showrunners Network. Here's what this is. Really fun. My idea is to collaborate to create a number of shows with major science fiction showrunners, science fiction creators, and create this ensemble where we're working repeatedly with Doug Jones. That's another name I forgot. Bob Picardo, Armin Shimmerman, Christina Moses, Gigi Edgley, Veronica Cartwright, Barbara Bain is in our projects. Amazing people, and just continue with that. I'm currently talking with Christina Chong of Strange New Worlds and David Ajala of Star Trek Discovery, and Ethan Peck of Strange New Worlds. They're all, we're engaged in conversations to see what roles and what we're doing might be appropriate for them. Michael Harney from Orange is the New Black and Project Blue Book is one of our ensemble. So it's just a phenomenal group of people. So with the Showrunners Network, I just started selling shares for $7,500 each, where you will participate in profits, my producer's net profits, from any of those movies or TV shows. And I'll tell you what they are. And if you buy 20 shares, you get an executive producer credit on those movies and those TV shows, and that is a career in a box. I mean, that's literally, if you want a credit where you can say, I'm an executive producer on a show with the creator of The Expanse, with the creator of Farscape, with the with these amazing filmmakers. It'll be on IMDb Pro. It'll be on the show. That's how you really get a career going in earnest. So again, markzickery@gmail.com. Happy to talk with you and answer any of your questions. But beyond that, and I go into all this stuff in Greenlighting Yourself. So if you want to do this, not just be part of what I'm doing, that's 100% fine. And and you can sort of, if you look at Mr. Sci-Fi videos and subscribe and tell your friends and all that stuff, you can learn how to do this simply by following my example, exactly like I grew up and followed the examples of the heroes I had that were writing the great science fiction shows, that were writing the great science fiction novels. So my mentors were Rod Serling, Richard Matheson, George Clayton Johnson, Harlan Ellison, Theodore Sturgeon, Dorothy Fontana, the great D.C. Fontana, David Gerald, all these people who were writing these great TV shows and writing these great books. Ray Bradbury, the superb, brilliant Ray Bradbury, was a very close friend and mentor. I learned from them. Guillermo del Toro, of course, and applied what I learned. And that's how you have a career. You don't learn from people who have never succeeded at what you want to do. You learn from people who have succeeded. So so the projects I'm doing in the Showrunners Network, Voiceless Roar is an ensemble drama about a small town that's being threatened by a takeover by a corporation, and the townsfolk have to put aside all their differences, come together, and save their town. And of course, this is a parable about what's going on now in America and in the world. And it stars Doug Jones, Armin Shimmerman, Aaron Gaffey, who's one of our leads in Space Command, many of the people you've seen in Space Command, and many of your favorite shows and movies. Additionally, and Barbara Bain is in it as well, and Andra Lene, who's in the Space Command Forgiveness. Wonderful actors. And Elaine Zickery, my writing, directing, producing partner, is writing and directing that. We're producing the movie together. We've already shot 6 days of the shooting schedule on Voiceless, and so that's the feature we're doing. That's part of the Showrunners Network. In terms of the other projects, the scripts are written, that we're ready to go, and the idea is to shoot the pilots, sell the shows. We already have the first 2 hours of Space Command up on Amazon Prime and Google Play for rental and purchase, and also on Tubi, where you can watch it free with commercials. But once we finish the entire season, the 12-hour season of Space Command, we already have an interest from a distributor who wants to buy the full season. So again, we're looking down the road. Our ultimate goal is to partner with a studio, streamer, network, one of those big guys, but have them deal with distribution and promotion, but not interfere with what the stories we want to tell. That's key. And also I'm looking to cast actors from Battlestar Galactica, Katie Sackhoff, many others, Jamie Bamber, etc. I talked to Mary McDonnell not long ago. These are incredible talents that I very much want to work with. Tricia Helfer, I love her work. So again, please feel free to suggest actors that you love from the science fiction worlds of TV and movies, because I'm very open to that. And if you have their contact info, let me know. I'll reach out to them. But so in terms of the Showrunners Network, the series are these. Rod Serling's After Twilight. I'm currently talking to Rod Serling's daughters about granting me the rights for this. Rod Serling dictated every script, every letter, every speech, everything he wrote from 1956-57 on until his death in 1975, and they thought those recordings were lost. They've just found 1,000 of them, 1,000 hours of these recordings, and much of it has never been shared with the public. Virtually all of it has never been shared with the public. So I want to do a new show called Rod Serling's After Twilight, where Rod narrates it from that material. Additionally, we will be making scripts. We will be shooting scripts that Rod Serling wrote that have never been made. Scripts he wrote for Night Gallery, for pilots, for other projects. Additionally, scripts he wrote back in the era of live TV that haven't been seen in over 60 years. And beyond that, we'll be doing scripts by other writers. I wrote a script when they brought Twilight Zone back in the 80s. I wrote a script called Knife Through the Veil that my friend Doug Hayes, who did Eye of the Beholder and The Howling Man, was going to do. And a week before prep, the censors pulled the plug. So we want to shoot that. Katie Sackhoff, a few years ago, expressed interest in starring in it. We'll revisit that. But this would be made up of scripts by Matheson, Beaumont, Harlan Ellison, whomever is brilliant and has an individual voice. And the show will be narrated by Rod Serling, showing scripts by Rod Serling and the other writers who he admired and who we all love. So that's that project. Then there's and again, I'm talking to them about the rights. If any of these projects don't come to fruition in terms of being able to shoot the pilot, I will substitute with another one of like quality and value and so forth. But then there's Fugitive Space, which is about the industrial military prison complex and how it impacts humans and an alien species. It's a gritty drama, and I've already written the first 2-hour pilot. Hawk Ostby and Mark Fergus, who developed The Expanse and were showrunners on that show, are attached as my partners, and it's a big science fiction epic with humans and aliens. Great show. I'm going to cast Mike Harney in it, Armin Shimmerman, many others, and James Hong is another one of our regular actors, and he's appeared in Space Command already. But I look to work with him more. He's brilliant and wonderful, and we've never cast a 100-year-old actor, and I would love to do that. I'd love to cast a centenarian. There was an actor named Norman Lloyd who was in Hitchcock films and so forth, and I met him, and I would have loved to have cast him, but unfortunately he passed away. But he was over 100, and but that would be super fun. But so there's Fugitive Space. There's Sweet Haven, which is a show I'm creating with Rockne O'Bannon, the creator of Farscape, Alien Nation, Sequest, Defiance, Cult. He was executive producer most recently on Evil, and this is a show about biological weapons / altered disease that kills everyone in the world under 60, and the people 60 and above have to figure out how to save humanity when they can't reproduce. And Rock and Elaine and I have written the pilot script, and that's what we're going to shoot. And we've already done table readings of it with our actors. It's Bob Picardo, Gates McFadden, Kristen. I always forget her name, but she's from Lost in Space. She played Judy in the original Lost in Space. Also Veronica Cartwright, Barbara Bain, as I mentioned, just James Hong, just an amazing cast. I'm talking to George Takei about being in it as well. Phenomenal. And then the next project that we're going to be doing on the Showrunners Network is Magic Time, which is based on the novels I did and a pilot that I wrote with Elaine, that when all the machines in the world stop running, magic comes back. It's got creatures, it's got magic. It's really cool. It's on, again, a very epic scale. And I've written roles for Christina Moses and for my dear friend Armin Shimmerman in that. And there's also a role for Doug Jones that I think he'd be terrific in. And then and so that's also up on the board. And then finally Dante's Station, which I co-created with my friend Michael Reeves, who I did the Star Trek New Voyages episode with. He's an Emmy winner from Batman the Animated Series. He was the producer on Gargoyles as well as a writer on that show. And he wrote the Interworld novels with Neil Gaiman. So he's just a brilliant writer, and this is a phenomenal project. And it's basically future noir. It's about a New York cop and his extremely angry teenage daughter coming off a very bad divorce, and he relocates to a mining colony near the center of the galaxy, and it's like a shaft city that's almost like an intergalactic Casablanca, where you have all sorts of aliens, all sorts of crimes going on, and he's a homicide cop working that beat. So just a phenomenal show. So that's the batch, and that's how we've raised the money. That's how we've ended up with 3 sound stages full of spaceship sets and spacesuits and aliens and you name it. And so if you're interested in supporting and donating to Space Command, buying shares in Space Command, please just go, markzicree@gmail.com, MarkZicree@gmail.com, and I will be happy to talk with you. Or we also have a Patreon. I think it's patreon.com/markzicree. You can support us that way, or you can pre-order something you'd like in one of our Kickstarter campaigns, and we can ship that to you as well. So that's it for now. But we're happy to be doing these projects with you. You are our family and our friends and our dear colleagues, and we cannot wait to share more of these wonderful projects with you. And every day is like Christmas for me, as you know. And that's about it. So we will talk to you again real soon. Bye, guys.